let the light fight and all will be right. That's a basic theme that we're going to talk about, and something that when you understand it so thoroughly that you live it, you will be a new man, a new woman. We're going to talk tonight about badness, human badness, about evil, psychic evil, because it's very necessary for you to become very well acquainted with it. Now, just being a bad man or a bad woman, someone who hurts others without knowing it, that doesn't mean that you're acquainted with evil. It means you are unconsciously bad. And I gave you the rule before, and I repeat it now, that unless you do understand evil thoroughly, know all about it, you can't know anything about God. If you do know about evil, you can know about God. From now on, to this point in the talk, you're going to do something deliberately you've never done before, which is that you're not going to be afraid of anything you hear. Because if you're afraid of what you hear, that's evil. That's bad. If you're afraid of the truth, that's bad. You're in this room now. You have a great chance to do what your heart wants to do, what your mind doesn't want you to do, which is just simply understand what you were all about. And you can't ignore human corruption and find out what you're all about. You have to simply examine it, explore it. Do it scientifically. You don't have to be afraid of a single thing that you hear. And already, some of you, as a defense, you're so defensive. That's what's keeping you so sick and scared. Some of you are already saying, "I'm not afraid." Why did you have to convince yourself that you're not afraid? You had to do it because you are afraid. This is the place where you can be gloriously honest about the kind of a condition you are in inside. Be gloriously honest about it, and absolutely no one will condemn you for it. But you had better stop condemning yourself for it. See, you think that you have goodness as opposed to your badness. You don't have. And when you slip from your self-described idealistic person that you're kindly and you're spiritual, when you slip from that, you call yourself bad. Having the image of being good was bad in the first place, so there's nothing but badness on both sides. So in this talk tonight, which can be of enormous help for you, and you know how badly you need to get inwardly healthy, because you are not inwardly healthy. Aren't you going to start right now to allow that help to come in by admitting that it's not there already? I told you don't have to be afraid of what you're going to hear. Once upon a time, there was a great illness in the land, just as there is in this land and every other land. All the people of the country was sick and worried and corrupt. And because they were sad, they were bad, and they hurt each other. And nobody in this whole country understood why people were that way. Why evil had taken over the whole nation, the minds and the bodies of people, and they hurt each other physically. Nobody understood it. This, by the way, is the condition of every country on earth, every city on earth, every town on earth. Everybody is bad and nobody understands it. So this went on for a long, long time. Finally, one One spiritual scientist decided to go all alone. You have to go all alone in your inner search. He decided to go on the search way back in the mountains to find out were these poisonous vapors, and it's good to describe evil as that, where these poisonous vapors were coming from, because nobody understood their origin. So he went all alone, worked hard, made a lot of blunders, a lot of mistakes, but he finally found out what was the cause of these evil vapors that had taken over the whole country. What it was a very small plant, obnoxious plant, poisonous plant that was sending fumes. It exuded fumes that it sent all over, and they reached down to where the people were and made them sick. Nobody had found that out before because the plant was so innocent looking, very quiet little plant living out under the trees. Nobody suspected that it was the source of their sickness. When they found out, they uprooted the plant and the fumes ceased to come down and the people became healthy. I'm talking, of course, about humanity as it is now. You must admit to yourself, and please do right now, that you don't understand the origin, the source, and the continuing attacks of what we can call evil, badness, hurts, feelings, whatever. You do not understand where they come from. And to prove it, you don't know how to stop them. You haven't the slightest notion how to stop having bad feelings, how to stop getting mad, how to feel that you're singled out by fate, by life, for special persecution. You can't understand how happiness has evaded you in spite of everything you have done to try to be happy and avoid the badness of evil. You just can't figure it out. Now, that is the perfect state for you to be in here tonight. Just to know that you don't understand anything about yourself. Look, please. You don't understand. Just admit you don't understand. If you lie, you'll get nothing out of this talk. And you'll get nothing from God Almighty. You'll get it from another place, because that's where you have assigned your allegiance. See what I just did? See what we did already? We exposed evil. The unconscious forces that can do anything they want with you. Now you just sit there and try to deny what I said. Badness can do anything it wants with you anytime. How many times did already, just today, just one day out of your whole life, has bad news come to you in some way, something you didn't want to hear, or you saw something, or somebody said something to you, and you got nervous and angry? How many times already did? Now, oh, how nice. We've established the fact that you need an awful lot of help. Oh, but I have to probe something. You know you need a lot of help. Where have you been all these years? You certainly haven't been here at New Life, which has been here for 15 years. You haven't come here. Look, simple. I need help, right? That's the truth. I haven't sought out help. Doesn't that shock you? That if you're hungry, you go to the store, go to the cafe, and get food. You're anxious, a certain part of you is eager to get free of pain, and yet you haven't come to any place where the pain could be put aside. Of course, the great pain remover is God Himself, truth itself. Oh, I see. I can answer that question for you. You thought that you were being spiritual. You thought that you were contacting something higher than yourself. But since you haven't, oh, that's pretty evil. There's been some self-deception there somewhere, because it is possible for you to contact God if you want to. Let's find out why you haven't. Evil just now, in your present condition and level, evil is 1,000 times more clever than you are. I already told you it can fool you anytime it wants. It can make you mad, make you excited one minute, depressed the next, right? Are you being honest with yourself as we're going on this? It's the only way you'll get some. If you lie, no good. You won't get anything. You'll have wasted your evening. You'll have wasted the evening just as you've wasted your whole life. Now let's see what kind of an argument you have to say that you haven't wasted your life. Why do you have to argue at all? Because you know you have, and I know you have, and God knows you have. All right. Evil, badness, sin, iniquity, satanic forces, all the same, have declared war on humanity. They have got out the big guns and have by the way, this an eternal determination to destroy men and women, human beings. Because satanic forces hate men and women because they have a possibility for finding God, and that's the last thing evil forces want you to do. I said that evil forces don't want you to find God. Doesn't it jolt you just a little bit to realize how well they have succeeded so far? Doesn't that jolt you a little bit? This talk I'm giving you is proving itself as I'm going along, and you know it. And I've required you to do your part of the work, and simply being an honest human being, wanting to know the facts instead of wanting to maintain your present sick position. If you maintain your present sick position, you'll be as sick as you go out as you came in. The purpose of all of you coming here is to get healthy by hearing spiritual, healthy facts. All right. Evil forces, which certainly do exist, have declared war on you, and you, and you. And I'm going to tell you something that these forces don't want you to know, which is all of this talk, by the way. Evil forces want you to fight back. When they present troubles to you, when they invade, this will become clearer to you as we go along. When they invade you, brings along some circumstance, some event, they want you to fight back. You've done this. Listen to this. Any form of sour, wrong, negative emotion, reaction, word, feeling, anything you've written down on a piece of paper, any form of negative feeling is trying to fight. You're trying to fight. This means that all you ever do is fight evil. And why do you do that? Because, are you ready? Because you're a part of it. You're a part of badness. Well, haven't you known since you were a little girl, a little boy, that it's wrong to fight? Wrong for you to fight. You know it's wrong for you to fight. Your face gets all red, you clench your fist, your blood pressure goes up, you scream at someone, he screams back at you. Don't you dare tell me you don't know that it's wrong to fight anything. Remember how I started the talk? The point that the light will fight for you and then all will be right. Oh, but you've got to let it do it. You can't fight anymore. You can't fight for a single right anymore, what you call your rights. You can't fight for your position. You can't fight for your so-called self-respect. You can't fight to have anyone continue to like you or like you in the first place. Why do you ever battle for anything? Well, you don't need to, but the reason you do is because you think you have to. You think you have something to protect. Your good name, your income, for heaven's sake. I have to go back, in order to go on these higher things, I go back to the elementary ones, and you don't even know the elementary ones. In saying, I don't want to be alone, be passive. You see, you identify, you know what you've done. You had better listen to me, and you had better be very careful from now on. You have described the spiritual state as being a bad state for you. It is a spiritual state to be above this sick world, to not go around bothering people under the pretense that you're helping them, that you can contribute something to society. And as always, your little egotistical nature is worried that you'll run down. It's like a top. It'll spin down and wear out. How many of you are already pretty worn out? Yeah. You know you are. And I'm doing something for you tonight that you've never ever done for yourself because you didn't have the intelligence to do it. And I don't have the intelligence. It's passed on to me just as I'm passing it on to you. So I'm not subtly boasting. This will give you a new kind of energy in which you understand both God and Satan equally. I know you still don't want to do the hard work of thinking that everything you've done is in vain, but I'm telling you here tonight, and you're not going to forget what I'm going to tell you. And if you're wise, you'll come back and hear more. The truth is, if you would simply obey spiritual instructions from the high place, if you would simply obey it, you would fall apart with your false, bad life, and you would be born again into a new kind of life. That's the fact. But you have to be very brave as you can be, and just a little bit is enough at the start. You have to be very brave in understanding that you don't understand at all, and any hostility, listen to me, any hostility, any resistance, any argument, any sneering, any hating against what you have heard here tonight will keep you a miserable, sick human being, and that is what you have chosen for yourself. So don't you dare have the nerve to complain anymore when the evil from the mountains comes down and invades your life and makes you scared. You have no complaints, not one, after hearing this talk tonight. So please have the decency to turn in the right direction and know that if you turn in the right direction, the very moment of that turn will be a new feeling inside of you. Now, I know that this sounds tough to a lot of you. Sounds if that man must get some kind of pleasure out of saying mean things. It is not that at all. And I want you to set aside any thoughts that you have along that lines, because they are false, and you yourself know they're false. How nice, how marvelous it would be for you personally, each one of you personally, to just sit here and say, well, what do you know? That tough stuff, I don't understand it, but I do know one thing about it. It sure hits home. That man is talking about about me in a way that I've never, ever wanted to talk to myself about myself because it's too uncomfortable. Isn't it nice that New Life Foundation will help you dig down in the way that you should dig down? Aren't you all ready in just half of the talk so far? Aren't you very glad and grateful that you came here tonight? Aren't you glad that God won't let you get away with it anymore? For your sake? So that you can turn the corner? Now, I'll tell you what you have to do. This is a lot of fun. Having heard about evil and about how good can destroy evil if you don't fight yourself, what you have to do is spend the rest of your life repairing the damage you've done to yourself and everyone else. Isn't that nice? Huh? Oh, I know the part you didn't like. You didn't like the last part, the damage you've done to everyone else, including yourself. Whoa! How about a little personal quiz here? State your age, whatever it is. State your age to yourself. Don't have to tell your neighbor. How have you treated yourself for those, 30, 40, 80 years? How have you treated yourself? Pretty shabbily, huh? Well, you wouldn't let other people treat you that way, yet you treat yourself that way. Isn't that weird? How have you treated yourself? That means, what have you allowed to be the dominating forces in your life? And you know very well what they are. Always shuddering over something. Always looking for a friend to give you a hand, and the friend is just as sick as you are. How have you treated yourself? Pretty miserably, right? Tonight, this night, is the turning point in which ill health will start to fall away and real spiritual health will come in its place, and you will be able to feel it as it rises inside of you. There's a story about a young man who was a boy. He went outside town a little bit, and there was a directional sign that directed tourists and travelers how to reach town. And as a boyhood prank, he took the sign and turned it in the opposite direction. And for 2 or 3 hours, he hid the bushes out there, watched the people see the sign and go in the wrong direction, and he'd laugh. Thought it was great fun. Great trick. See, evil is so evil you can't believe how evil it is. In this case of this boy, he thought it was great fun to lead people astray because he had done it. I did that evil. I have a definite independent self. I did it. Well, he grew up being an older boy, and when he got even be 20s, he thought back of the shabby little trick that he'd played when he was younger, and he really felt sorry for what he was doing. He understood what I just explained a little bit to you. He understood how childish and bad he was to get fun out of hurting other people. Wasted their gas, their time, caused them inconvenience, confused them. He made up his mind he was going to repair that damage by being, from then on, a spiritual adult. Now, you have led everyone astray, everyone you've ever met, just because you have first led yourself astray. The inner nature has to express itself both inwardly and outwardly. Now, you won't think it's fun anymore to tell lies to yourself about your inner nature. Not only won't be fun, but it will be a different kind of a right feeling to actually know that you have actually caught yourself pretending that it was a good thing to have power over someone else, or to criticize someone else, to hate someone else. All right. Yes, absolutely. You can continue to ally yourself with slandering other people, with scowling at those who don't agree with you. You could go around with a petty, childish, negative spirit, and you can drown in your own sick mind and emotions, which you will. That need not be the case in any human being who will simply listen. For heaven's sake, tonight, will you please do one thing you've never ever done, anytime, any place, which is to listen to something that is higher than your neurosis. If you don't, so long. Goodbye. You have been told. Oh, when you're told the truth, when you decide to go away because you know better, you know more than God himself. When you do that, what happens is you have cut yourself off from God permanently. Don't say that to shock you. I hope it produced a shock, but that wasn't the motive. The motive was to tell you the facts, that you've cut yourself off from God. If you don't find God in this life, what's going to happen to you in the future? If you don't have God, let me tell you who you do have. You have yourself. Okay, tell you what. You try to save yourself. You try to tell yourself that in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years from now, everything is going to be okay with you. Go ahead. Consciously try it. I say consciously, not unconsciously, because you've been doing that unconsciously all the time. Consciously try to convince yourself that you, as you are now, have a happy future. Go ahead, try to convince yourself. It won't work. Ooh, talk about getting rid of the fumes. We're doing it tonight, aren't we? We're exposing all those little tricks that you have allowed to come in and keep you the way you are. Now, one of two things and one of two only, and you will never ever forget, none of you will ever forget what I'm telling you now. You could live the rest of your life with yourself as you have done in the past. Yes, you can. Absolutely you can if you wish that. You can live the rest of your life living with you and you only, or you can find out what it means to live with God, which is a reality. It means nothing to you when I say that, because you live only with yourself. But I'm telling you what the blissful alternative is. It was for you to live spiritually right here in this life. You can live with God, and God will be your guide. And God will do the fighting for you instead of you trying to do it for yourself because you get a false pleasure out of it. No, I'm not going to let you get away with it. No, we're going to do it one more time. Effective as of right now, you have a choice right in front of you. The path, here is where the path divides. You can go out of here lying to yourself and say that you've already found God, or that you're going to find God in your way, and that man isn't going to intimidate me. You said I was intimidating you. I didn't. I don't intimidate. I don't have to intimidate you. You have to intimidate other people in order to feel a sense of self. You can continue to live with yourself, or you can get down on your knees, either physically or mentally, immediately. Right now in your mind, or later on when you can get down on your knees and pray to God that He will show you how to choose Him over you. You're never going to choose God over you. Don't you understand this? All you are is you. Well, you tell me something else that you are besides you. Go ahead. You can't do it. Yes, you know what I'm talking about. Yes, you do. I know when you know what I'm talking about. What do you have besides your usual ways of getting excited over the rays, getting excited over telling yourself that everything is going to be all right? Why don't you just confess that you have nothing but darkness and struggling in the dark? Please, I assure you, nothing bad will happen to you. To the contrary, everything good will happen to you if you will admit that you're outside the kingdom of heaven. And everything outside the kingdom of heaven is evil. And everything that is evil hurts and hurts bad. What do you think of the purpose of this talk is? Well, you don't know because you don't have any health in yourself at all. The purpose of this talk is to release you from your delusions which cause pain. If you free yourself of your delusions, you won't hurt anymore. Well, has there just one of you in this room tonight admitted that you hurt and hurt bad? And stop there. The reason you have to stop there is because you'll start lying again. I feel bad because. There's only one answer after the because. I feel bad because I prefer that to freedom, to life, to God. I like to feel bad because it makes me feel real. And besides, it's the only thing I have ever known in all my 30, 60, 80 years. The dark forces, the evils of this world that are coming down to everyone, have a fatal flaw. I hinted at it before, but I'm going to tell it to you again in another word. The evil that has clutched you has a fatal flaw. And that fatal flaw is you can find out about them. You've been doing so tonight. By the way, what have you been doing with the information that you've been collecting tonight? It's been kind of shocking to you because you see, it's so childish and so dishonest to think of evil in connection with someone else. How many of you would like a real rough, tough work exercise for the next week? Okay? How many of you will do it? How many of you will request heaven to give you strength to do it? All right. For the next week, next 7 days, the only evil you're ever going to think about is your own. Oh, you've got a lot to think about, huh? Of course. Well, now, you know why that is going to be healthy. Because you know how you always have to point the ego-serving purposes to get what you thought you needed. So your friends flock around you and smile at you, and they go places with you, and you have dinners together and watch television. So you have all these boyfriends, girlfriends, all these associates. What in the world are you getting from them? You're getting from them the same thing you are giving to them. One human being wrecks another. What do you expect? A pack of wolves. Human beings are nothing but a pack of wolves. And don't you dare deny that. You deny that at your peril. Pack of wolves, each turning on the other. Here in this room, if you will simply listen, and if you'll know that you didn't like the talk, if you'll simply know that you didn't like the talk, if you knew that much consciously, and then find out why you didn't like it, you'd be on the way upward. But if you prefer to stay asleep, stay unconscious, and sneer and hate, then you will have the exact reward that you have demanded, which is lifelessness, which is eternal doom. Well, God said that before I did, you understand? I'm just passing it on to you. Or if you will have the decency to listen to something that is not a part of your present nature, then instead of doom, you can have authentic eternal life. You think you have it now, but every time you think about it, it puts you into terrible, tormenting doubt. You will have eternal life and you won't have to think about it at all. You will know it because God is behind the knowing. Good night.